TIL. The original purpose of screensavers was to avoid burn-in on screens. Burn-in is when a picture stays still on the monitor for too long and stays there forever. I need to suck a cock right now. I'm in the Stanford KY. First timer and truly willing to do anything to suck his first cock tonight. He is willing to provide 100 cash as a fee and also let you in turn get his ass after the sucking. Also will be your sex slave for the day, and feel free to bring a bud to watch or participate too. He will suck and skew both. Must hurry, must be tonight. Contact me ASAP to give you details and directions. All free to you and make some money too. Hurry, there was an old Craigslist post on Tumblr years ago. I'll try looking for it when I get home. A roommate was giving away a brand new giant TV as their roommate had ruined it. The roommate giving away the TV was gone for a vacation and didn't pay rent or something along those lines. So the other roommate hooked up a DVD player and paused a porno scene and let it burn for weeks. So every time from then on when you turned on the TV you would be seeing someone getting shafted. There was a computer in my college networking lab that had been a DOS terminal that someone accidentally restarted instead of turned off before Christmas break one year. After sitting there turned on for 4 weeks straight, the top copyright text and C prompt was burned into the monitor so badly that like half a decade later it was still bright enough that new students would regularly get confused and think it was turned on when it wasn't even plugged in. I worked at the software counter at my university bookstore in the early 90s. We sold after dark screensavers. We also sold TrueType font packs. Like, if you wanted Arial or Courier, you had to buy it. When Windows 95 came out, I didn't understand how it could be an operating system without DOS. Took me a while to figure out Windows 95 was the operating system. Mind blown. Fox News Entertainment used to have a fixed logo 24/7 on the bottom of the screen. People filed a class action due to it burning into their pixels. It was still on the TV screen when they turned the channel or even turned their TV off. In addition to the payout, Fox had to change their logo to a looping GIF, which is what you still see unchanged to this very day. I remember when I got my Super Nintendo back in the 90s as a kid. My dad got mad at me one day cause I paused my game and went outside to play football. He said I couldn't do that cause it would burn the screen and ruin the TV. That was a repressed memory for like 20 years before I read this post. Lol. Used to work somewhere back in the day, the monitor was so old, and the screen was always on, that the desktop icons had burned faint images on the monitor so you could hide a desktop shortcut that was there for so long, like my computer, and it was like the icon had a ghost that was left behind. I remember when plasma TVs were still really new, about 20 years ago, my buddy spent $24,000 to buy a 20 plasma TV, or maybe it was $20,000 for 24, and he left it on TSN all the time. Within 2 or 3 weeks, the TSN news crawler had burned into the screen and was visible even when the TV was off. I was managing a 500-seat call center when The Matrix came out. One night during a boring maintenance window, I put the IT guys up to downloading that Matrix screensaver with the green dripping letters. With all the lights off and 500 monitors doing that, it was creepy as hell. It was awesome. The movement saves the screen from being damaged. They went out of fashion as computers got better at power saving, and could turn the screen off. I hate it when people call their phone desktop backgrounds wallpapers screensavers. It ain't saving nothing there, pal. I burn images of delivery driver apps into 2 phones. Luckily, I don't do those gig jobs anymore. The problem was sometimes notifications wouldn't actually ping on my phone, so I had to keep my phone lit all the time. I tried to keep the brightness down at least. First time I saw a screensaver was in my final year of high school. It was playing on a teacher's computer in the little hutch where they had their desks. It was in color, and moving. It was mesmerizing. A few of us stood and watched it for fully 2 minutes. This will blow your mind then. The background on your phone? That's not a screensaver, that's a wallpaper. Nothing provokes my ire like people calling their wallpapers screensavers. It's also pronounced GIF, and yes, I'm fun at parties, winking face. I feel like this statement is saying there is another reason for screensavers now? Does the image no longer burn into a screen? Because I'm pretty sure SNU was burned into my old phone because I refused to use the god-awful Reddit app. What did you think screensaver meant? For the record, CRTs were the reason they were invented, to protect the phosphor, but plasma TVs were also very susceptible to burn in, as are olds to a lesser degree. I didn't realize people didn't know that. It's like saying TIL phones were originally used to connect people with voice communications instead of unsolicited dick pics. My god, I feel 1000 years old. We would buy screensavers. Like, My dad would ask if I'd rather get a new game, movie or screensaver from the computer store, and sometimes I'd get the screensaver. I watched Johnny Castaway for hours. Who the hell doesn't know this? My 80-something-year-old technophobe grandmother that barely speaks English knows this. I'm pretty sure my dog knows it too but can express himself properly. I did this to mine like 6 months ago and have been too lazy to buy another one, but the original image isn't burned and it's just kind of everything burns in after a bit now. When did that change? The comments section is so funny. Half the people are asking whether they're old and half are going, how do you not know this? Redditors, when the passage of time is a thing that exists. This happened in my phone. I basically had my keyboard numbers burned into my screen. Make sure your screen turns off. It doesn't just save battery but saves the screen too. Fun fact, I had forgotten screensavers were ever a thing. Usually they just resulted in the screensaver being the image that got burned in rather than your desktop. We had a friend of my kid there and she saw our vinyls. She looked curious, so I asked her if she knew what they were. Yeah, those black CDs. I'm ancient. I have a little bit of Reddit burning on my screen, but I keep my brightness down so it's barely noticeable. My cousin has TikTok burning on his and it's bad. Wait! We don't have to do this anymore? Fuck, I feel old. I still make sure to turn off the TV if I leave my PlayStation home screen on for any reason. My grandmother had Dr. Mario burned into her TV. She loved that game, and would pause it and just leave it on for hours while she went and did stuff. CRT monitors had such high power inside that you could use them to do dangerous experiments like this. Is this no longer a problem? Screensavers still exist for this purpose, no? When did screens become advanced enough for this not to be the case? Considering screensavers haven't really been a thing since CRTs have been a thing, I'm trying to figure out where your confusion is coming from. I had a Sony Trinitron monitor that had the pre-OS X Mac menu burned across the top. I must have ran that thing 12-14 hours a day for a decade. I had the CN logo burned into the corner of my TV back in the day. That big ass TV had that logo for about 3 more years till we got rid of it. Boy, it's right in the name, screensaver D. I feel ya. When I figured out that tea lights are for keeping a pot of tea warm, it blew my mind. What did you people think a screensaver was for? It's not like this is an ancient problem. It's still the same. Also, get off my lawn. I remember being able to type a word that would scroll across the screen. Probably not the most effective screensaver, but was fun. Looks like someone's never been to an arcade. The old cabinets had CRT monitors and would get screen burn from the game over screens. Why else would they be called screensavers? Also, burn-in cab can still be an issue on some screens. It's not entirely gone. I still use the electric sheep screensaver today. Having something on the screen soothes these old nerves of mine and my ADHD too. Vape, I think it's about time I just off myself and save society the burden if I'm old enough to think this is common knowledge. In middle school, some kid burned meat spin onto all the computer monitors in the computer lab. They had to get new monitors. Lol. How old are you, sweet summer child? You're making the rest of us feel ancient for remembering when this was a real thing. 3D Maze is the real MVP. My first burn-in incident was the UI from Anarchy Online searing around the edges of the screen. Reading this as a Today I Learn makes me feel like a caveman. Wait till he finds out why the save icon is a floppy disk. And yet here we are in 2023 with monitors, TVs, phones still getting burn-in because people forgot about screensavers. Lol. From CRT to OLED, we had a decent break where it wasn't as big of a problem to leave your desktop without a screensaver. If you haven't seen screen burn-in before, this video gives a good example. Fuck. If there are people who are old enough to post on Reddit and did not know this, I feel fucking ancient. Used to play Halo on our 65 Plasma and the UI was burned into that thing forever. Parents were not happy. Did you also know that the save button icon is actually based on something called the floppy disk? Definitely, it was pretty common too. People would have the Windows main screen burned into the screen. I thought it still was TBH. I had a screen burn-in on my iPhone X from having the camera open too much. You hear from that post of the dude who left the YouTube video running on his parents' $1,500 TV? Lol. Watch out for someone tomorrow until to post something along the lines of TIL on Sept 11th, 2001. Oh summer child, you were not here for the dark winters of burning Mario's face into the family TV. I'm old, Peter. Kids these days won't know the joy of watching the After Dark series of screensavers. For fun, I wonder if anyone has ever burned in a picture of Schlot's face after they went on vacation. Not to be a dick or anything, but, What did you think that screensavers were for? My first computer monitor had my dad's company burned on the display. It was still usable. Man, I feel old. I used to work on a CRT monitor that had some burn-in the early 2000s. I just saw a whole thread where people learned this. Do you come from the chat post? Why didn't the screen just go all black? Surely that doesn't burn in? Why the graphics? Man, pink fucking kids these days don't even know the wild shit that was like after dark. It's called a screensaver. This could be deduced whether you were told this or not. There are people who didn't know this? Why do they think it was called a screensaver? Here I am with an OLED monitor and now I have to be cognizant of it all over again. Joke's on me, the HBO logo got burned into my iPad Air. Soon after the screen died. Meanwhile, everybody I've met thinks their desktop background is their screensaver. Screensaver. X200B. What did you or anyone think they were for if not this? As someone who plays idle games, I'll tell you it can happen on modern screens too. What? There are people who don't know that's the entire purpose of screensavers. Nobody remembers running after dark on their Mac to prevent burn-in on the CRT. Did this thread just emerge because of the schlot burn-in on our shitposting? I was always curious if this can still occur on today's LED 120MHz monitors. Plasma TVs did that really badly as well. Probably worse than CRT monitors. It's almost like a screensaver is meant to save your screen from burnout. Is that not still the purpose? It is actually called a screensaver. My teacher had a cool one with silly cows. My dad had flying toasters. Well, yeah. It's in the name. What did you actually think it was for?